It's Friday. We're good? Alrighty. My name's Andreae. I'm here for the integrating your site with Facebook. We're the developers of an extension called JFBConnect, and we're going to go through basically how you can use that. And basically, it's really not deep diving on JFBConnect directly. It's mainly on topics and things that you can do with Facebook on your site. All the examples, of course, are from our extension. But there are other options out there, and there are different ways to do this. The main point of this thing is not to get you to purchase our extension or do anything like that. It's more to get you to understand what you can do with social networks on your site and how you can interact with them. If you just saw Lewis's presentation, connecting with these social networks is basically becoming almost critical as one of the most important things you can do on your site. There's ways to do it correct, and there's really honestly ways to do it incorrectly. And so hopefully we can set you straight on some things. If you have any questions, if you have any thoughts or anything, feel free just to speak up during the presentation, raise your hand, whatever. I sometimes put blinders on so I don't see everything, so just yell if you need me. So my name's Andreae. I started Source Coast back in 2008, and we did client sites initially, and then we went into making JFBConnect shortly thereafter. It was originally released in early 2009. It's been developed very actively since, and we released a LinkedIn extension late last year, which has similar features as the Facebook integration one. JFBConnect, again, most of the features we're talking about today are included in JFBConnect. It's used on more than 10,000 websites, or Joomla websites, including the Joomla extension directory. The login with Facebook button on the JED is from JFBConnect, and it integrates with a lot of third-party extensions as well. So when you have your website and you want to put social networking on it, there's a lot of things that you can do wrong. If you go in there, and everyone's seen the button bars that basically have every single social sharing like Twitter, Reddit, Technorati, I mean, those long things. In my opinion, if you do that, you're doing it wrong. If you have that many buttons on there, you want to target the right audience for your website. That can be with Facebook, that can be with LinkedIn, that can be with Twitter, and it can be with multiples, but you just don't want to go overboard. Putting all those things on there thinking that your users are going to use all these buttons more or less puts them off to not use them at all. And so really you want to tailor the experience towards your users and how you want them to use your website. And the most important thing when you're doing social integration is to realize that it is the second order effect thing that you want to do. Your content and your website is still the most important thing, because people aren't going to share content from your site if the content isn't good in the first place. So focus on your site, focus on its content, focus on its purpose, and then slowly start adding social features. Add them slowly. All the features that we have or different extensions have, if you enable them all at once, it gets confusing for yourself because you don't know how they all interact, and your users certainly aren't going to understand it. And so you really just focus on your site first. It's the biggest caveat I can put out there. Social is very important, but it's not the most important thing on your website. Your website is. So I broke integration up into 5 different pieces. They're roughly in importance order. We'll just go through them one by one. Facebook login and registration. Basically, in my opinion, and I'm not just saying this because we have a Facebook extension, if your site has public users, you should have some sort of social login experience. It takes away the registration forms. It makes it an easy experience, and your users are used to clicking that login with Facebook button. We're all used to seeing the Joomla registration page, so to us, it's not foreign anymore. We know exactly how to fill it out. We know username, we know the passwords, we know all that stuff. Users to your site probably have never seen a Joomla registration form before. They've seen other registration forms, and they can get confusing. Even though the forms are simple, if you can make it even more simple and less friction, that's what you need on your site. Once again, less forms, quicker access, less hassle all around. It also allows you to import a user's profile from Facebook if you're using Jom Social, Community Builder, Kunina, those types of extensions, so that way the user doesn't have to, after they've created their avatar or created their profile, registered on your site, and activated their email account and done all this stuff. Then they have to go in there and put an avatar in. They have to fill out where they're from. All these things can be automated once you integrate with a social network. So that way, again, less friction, get your users in quickly. And Facebook's already verified a user's email address, so you can actually take the activation step out for your Facebook users, which is really nice because then they just, one click, they're actually in your site with no more steps in between. Why? Again, they can do what they originally intended. If a user comes to your site, reads a blog post, and they want to flame you because they hate what you've written, if you put in a login form and all this stuff before they can put their comment in, half the time they forget why they were doing it. They lose interest in the whole site altogether, and it's just not exciting for them anymore to actually get on there. If you're running a shopping site, any step in between putting that item in the shopping cart and actually checking out is a step that the user can leave. So these are just great ways to get the user in. And importantly, you actually get an increased return rate. Users don't come to your site and have to go through the forgot password hell. I mean, you just never remember your username. You don't remember you look up the email address, you get a weird token back from Joomla, which confuses users much more than a lot of other things. And it's just easy. They know their Facebook password. Half the time they're probably already logged into Facebook, and they just click it and get back into your site. Even if you get a user on your site and he never comes back, if you're using Joomla Social or one of these extensions, you've seen the default avatar populating the whole site. Once a user logs in with Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever, the avatar gets imported. Even if that user never comes back, the next user that comes to your site, they're going to see what looks to be a robust community. They're going to have status updates in there that got pulled in. They're going to have avatars in there. They're going to have things, and it looks lively, which when you're first starting out, getting that look is very important. And so it's a good way to start off a site and make it look useful. Social sharing. These are the standard buttons that I was just talking about. They're free advertising. Again, I don't think you should have everyone on there, but you should have some. If you have content that you think are going to interest your users, which let's hope you do, you want those users to share it with their friends. However they do that, whether it's a Facebook like button, a Twitter, whatever, add those to your content, and it will start to grow your traffic organically. One like button, one click from a like button can push that story out to hundreds or thousands of users, and it's their friends. It's a trusted avenue for their friends to actually see the content. We all know what the like button does. I'm not going to harp on it too much more. But just like all advertising techniques, everything out there, it's getting noisier. So it is harder to use a like button to really get the traffic that you need. But again, since it's free, it's easy to do, and it's a trusted source, it's something that basically you should add. And these things are easy to add to your to your content. You can add the Twitter button, the LinkedIn button, the whatever there are. There's the four that Google+, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook are the ones that we consider the most important, the ones that we include in our stuff. But there are other ones out there. Again, tailor the site to your users. If you have a business crowd, put the LinkedIn share button on there. If you don't have a business crowd, don't put it on there mainly. Things to watch out for when you're adding a social button. Joomla URL structure can just be horrible sometimes. There's the SEF URL, there's the non-SEF URL, there's an SEF URL that is from a menu item versus the direct access to your component. When you install any of these social sharing features, you need something that's going to understand the structure of Joomla. When you use Share This, which is a very popular tool out there, it doesn't know how Joomla creates its URLs. So if a user comes to your site, all these buttons are triggered off of the URL that the user is liking. So if someone comes and clicks the like button on your non-SEF URL, that's one like for your non-SEF URL. If then a different user goes to the SEF version of the URL and clicks the like button, you have two different likes for two different pages. Same content, but two different likes. You need something that actually understands Joomla's structure and will tell Facebook, even though I'm on this non-SEF URL page, if a user clicks like, they're really liking this page over here. Same structure, same content, different URL. Please.
If using the SH44 SEF,
SH404 can be configured that way. So most of the third-party SEF extensions will take care of the canonicalization, that's what it's called, to where when a user goes to the non-SEF, it'll redirect them to the SEF version, and then when they click the like button on that page, it should be for that page. There can still be issues there, and it is something you have to configure in that extension. I mean, you have to say redirect to this, and you can still have issues, but that takes care of a lot of those problems. So yes, any of the third-party SEF extensions generally will take care of a lot of those issues. Again, going back to the share this, there's a lot of buttons you can put in there. You just sort of have to determine on your site whether you want the broad extension or broad integration with a lot of things, but maybe not understanding Joomla as much versus very specific extensions that know Joomla and really work for your site. And then just conflicts that you can run into are just MooTools, jQuery, all those buttons use JavaScript. And so most of them work very well, but sometimes if you have a site that has MooTools and jQuery and all these other things already included on there, you can run into some JavaScript issues, but that's not as common anymore, which is nice. Additional social sharing, comments. Comments are great. They post back to a user's wall. They post with your article information. It shows their friends not only that you like a page, which is what does that really mean, but it shows that they're interested in it, they're engaging in it, and that comment may entice the other user to come and read the full article. I mean, it's just a great way to get people to your site. Comments in general, if you have any content that should be commented on or could be, use that. The fan box lets you link to your Facebook page. You can just show a little bit about it. It helps you get likes, shows your activity stream, those types of things. The company widget, LinkedIn has a ton of company widgets for members. It's good if you have a company website. You can show the employees, you can show their little LinkedIn badge, those types of things, or your company page from LinkedIn on your site. And of course, the Twitter stream. I mean, if you are active on Twitter and you have a website, it's good to show that Twitter feed there. It gets your users to actually understand how they can interact with you. Open Graph. So Open Graph is a very complex topic. At its base level, it's how you describe your site to Facebook and how you, when a user likes your content, the Open Graph tags are what sets what the title for that page should be in the little wall post, what the description should be, and what the image should be that's used there. There's a ton of tags. You can actually include your latitude and longitude on the page in case it's about a place. You can include points if it's a game or something like that. There's all these different tags you can include. At its core, though, it's your title, your description, and your image. And once you set up these tags, then whenever anyone uses your URL in a status update or a like or anything like that, you'll get what you want to display here. I think we've probably all seen Facebook likes that have like the RSS icon here or something that is completely unrelated to the page, but it's the first image that Facebook runs into that they think represents that page. You don't want Facebook guessing what's on your page because they're okay at it at best. And if it's an important page on your site, I mean, if it's your product details page, something like that, you want your product image out there, you want the description. You know that this is going to be used on Facebook, so you can even tailor it to Facebook and say, you know, listen to all my Facebook friends and say it on there. So, I mean, it's a way to tailor your Facebook posts to the users that are going to see them. Oh, and actually, LinkedIn also supports Open Graph tags. So when you share a URL on LinkedIn, they actually use the Open Graph tags as well, which is nice. So it's a wider spread usage. Twitter has their own card system, but I think they use Open Graph. They understand Open Graph too. Open Graph Actions. This was introduced by Facebook late last year, came out of beta early this year. We're going to be supporting this in our next release of JFBConnect, which comes out next week. Actions are, until now we've had likes. You either like something or you're ambiguous and you've never liked it. There was nothing that you could do other than liking content or liking things on a site. Open Graph Actions are ways that you can automatically push actions to a user's timeline. So if a user's on your site, you can, in our extension at least, you can set up that if they read an article, it will post that article to their timeline. Automatically, they have to approve it, but they have to, when they log into your site the first time, there's a little application pop-up that says, do you allow this? there's a little box over there that will say, this can post actions to your timeline. Once they log into your site, then you can start posting things to their timeline.
What will the users see during that authorization step? Will they see our website or the JFBConnect, or do we do
The authorization step?
Yes.
It's a Facebook window. It's a pop-up. And all it has is, it has like your image, your site name, but it's all from Facebook. And JFBConnect, we're out of the way. If your users know that you're using JFBConnect, we're doing something wrong.
Pulling from the apps setting.
Correct. Correct.
So how do you use the Open Graph? How do you set the Open Graph tags?
Excuse me. So with the release that we're coming out, until now, we did it automatically. So we'll, JFBConnect will look at your meta title and meta description and use those if nothing else is set. You can use, we have squiggly tags. You can just say SC Open Graph title equals this. So in your article, you just say SC Open Graph title equals this, image equals this. You can say, again, latitude is this. And we'll parse that out before the page is displayed, take those tags out, and replace them with Open Graph tags. And then with this new system we're coming up with, we have a plugin system that, for Joomla Social, for instance, if you have the plugin enabled, if you're on a user's profile page, then it will automatically grab the user's avatar, put that as the Open Graph image tag. It'll take the user's name and put it as the title tag, and maybe their last status update as the description tag. All those things can be overridden by you, but just by enabling the plugin, it'll do it automatically. So same thing for a image gallery on Joomla Social, just pulling things out. It can go in there and it will create the URL for the image gallery. It'll pull the first image from the image gallery and use those as the tags. So it's an automated process. All these things, again, you can override. You can do it however you want, but we try to make it easy. We're launching with, I think, like 5 plugins for Joomla Content, K2, Joomla Social, JReviews, EasyBlog, and we're getting other developers on board for creating their own plugins and working with ours. But so with those plugins, basically, it will recognize the different views that the extension has and try and come up with the best way to represent that for you, so that way you don't have to worry about it as much. Yes?
Two-part question. Since you use Joomla Social as an example, is there a level of granularity for whether actions are postable by Joomla Social versus just a like or something like that? And then the second part is that at the administrator level and also at the user level, or just at the administrator level?
In 4 minutes, if I haven't answered that, either of those questions, ask again. So in the admin area, you can create an action that's upload image to Joomla Social. When a user uploads an image, it'll post that to their timeline. I'll show an example of how that looks. Same thing with joining a group, reading a K2 article, reading a easy blog post, voting on K2 articles or easy blog posts. Those things are all things that now you in the admin area say, whenever a user does this, post it to their timeline. How that's done is basically Facebook has what they call objects, and an object is a page on your site. And then they have actions that you can take on those objects, on those pages. So basically in the configuration area, you create a new object, and you say, okay, anything that's in content, Joomla content, that's in the category that we said here, anything within this category or its subcategories, we're going to give it an object type of article. These are things that you actually configure in your Facebook app. You say, my site has articles, my site has an image gallery, my site has these things. And then in here, you set these up. You say, okay, Facebook knows that my site has articles. Here's how you tell Joomla to call your articles or your Joomla content articles. It gets very confusing. We're trying to make it as simple as possible, but it is confusing. Again, this over here is where you have a little bit more control over how the Open Graph tags work. So the image for your articles, you can either use the first article image that is seen in the text. There's the built-in image to Joomla content, or you can use the category image. Let's say your articles don't have really good images that represent that page until a user reads the full article. You might want to use the category article or something, or category image or something else. So you basically can set how these Open Graph tags are set automatically, which again, you can override on individual articles with the SC Open Graph tags. So that way, by default, you have good Open Graph tags. If you really need specific tags on a certain page, you can do them that way. So at this point, once we save this, now everything in our category, social networking for Joomla, is now going to have a Open Graph type of article. Then when we go to the creating an action, we basically say, okay, we want to post this action, which is called news.reads. That's a Facebook action. And whenever a user goes to Joomla content, we want to post the action news.reads. And we want to do it whenever the page loads after 10 seconds. This is important because that's actually a Facebook policy. You can't, the moment they read or open an article, you can't post it to their timeline. You have to have the idea that they actually are reading the content. So you can wait 20 seconds, you can wait 30 seconds. You just have to wait until you're confident that they actually are reading the article. So that way if they're clicking through your site, you're not posting all this random stuff. In the basic settings up here, to your question, there's a couple settings which I'm not showing here, but you can actually say how often these things can post. So say your user is uploading images to JOM Social, you might not want to post, if they upload 30 photos, you might not want to post 30 times in a row. So you can actually say this action can only be posted one time. It can only be posted every 1 minute, every 1 day, 1 year. You can actually set how often that action can post to the user's timeline. And so when you do it for something like this, for articles, it will only post the first time they read a certain article, but if then they go to a new article, it'll post that new article as well. I mean, it's not just a one time they've read an article on your site, it's each article that they read it would post. Also in the basic settings, there's an option in there to say, can the user disable this setting? Or user disable this Open Graph action. Some actions you don't want them to be able to disable, and that's like if you were to create your own button, an I like button, if they click that, they're doing it intentionally. There's no point in letting them disable it. Things like reading, per Facebook guidelines, they have to be able to disable it if they don't want that to post to their wall. I think that covers both your questions. I'm not sure. Please, please.
So most of these functions you're talking about are for registered, really relevant.
Absolutely.
Registered users.
Well, so the social sharing, Facebook likes, Twitter share, all that stuff, user doesn't have to be logged into your site at all. Open Graph tags, again, a user doesn't have to be logged into your site because they can share your site on Facebook or anywhere else, and the tags will still be used by Facebook. For the Open Graph actions, yes, absolutely, they have to be logged into your site, and that's because you need to have already let them approve that you can post to their timeline. You can't just do it to anybody, and that would be havoc.
They cannot register directly through Facebook to become a registered user of your site. They have to register on your site.
They have to click, there's a login with Facebook button. If they click that on your site, so on your site, we basically have our own login form.
So if they click login through Facebook, they are registering.
Correct.
In that moment.
I mean, they again are presented an app dialog that says, I am willing to approve this application. But yes, once they say yes, then JFBConnect will go through, create them a Joomla account, send them their activation email. It also sends them a username and a password so they can log in the future either using Facebook or they can log in with their own Joomla credentials. And so yes, it creates their account. And once that Joomla account's created, that user is treated the exact same way as any other Joomla user on your site. There's no difference at that point.
If you have a non-social community that has, for very specific reasons, like its own custom profile fields that would not be applicable to Facebook, or protocols to your
Yep.
service, then how does this work if they register and automatically, first of all, can I filter out which Facebook profile information will populate?
Yep.
And second of all, is there some workflow option to then say, okay, now give me my field?
So there's two things with that. One, we have a whole page in the configuration area which will show you all of your JOM social fields, and then it'll show you all of the available Facebook fields. So you can say this field from Facebook should go into this field in JOM social. So you can map the fields however you want from Facebook to your JOM social. Obviously, not everything in your JOM social profile would be in Facebook, and so there's two different user creation options that we offer. There's the automatic one click, the user gets automatically registered and the account is created. The other option is long form. They can actually fill out the full registration form like they did before. And you have the option, you can show fields that you've that are going to be populated from Facebook, so they can edit those fields in real time, or you can hide those, creating a much shorter form where you're still getting 10 fields of data from them, but they only look like they're putting in 3 or 4, and then that stuff's automatically populated for them. So it's 2 different options, and it depends on your site. Some people do want to get that information up front. Other people want to just get the user into the site as quickly as possible. So going back to the actions, this is what happens when you actually have your timeline. Basically, you have, instead of, as we've all seen, it's, Alex liked a page. Now we actually have these wonderful things. Alex uploaded a gallery, and it has a link to the gallery, so it goes to your Joomla Social album. You can see the image that was uploaded. I don't know why this didn't work, but that's separate. And then this over here was Alex joined the cooking group on this site. So this is, again, through Joomla Social. I joined the group, and then this is, again, an example of the Open Graph tags, which on a group page, our plugin will say, OK, use the title of the thing, use the image from your group, and make a pretty post. So that way, when this user gets this posted to their timeline, something pretty gets put in there. All actions that get automatically posted, they go into a user's activity log, which those may or may not, it all depends on Facebook, show up in their timeline. So it doesn't mean everything is going to go into the timeline. The user can hide things, the user can delete things, the user can force things to show up on their wall. So it doesn't mean that every single action is going to show up on your user's timeline, which is good because you really don't want to annoy your users. But Facebook is pretty good at figuring out relevance on what should be on a user's timeline and what's good for their friends to see as well.
Would it show up with their default privacy settings, whatever they may be?
Again, it depends. By default privacy settings, it can show up on their timeline.
Right,
so
the user's got set.
yes. So the default is this can show up on my timeline, I think, if you go into the activity log. But again, there's never show this on my timeline or always show this on my timeline. And that's the user's choice, and you can change those settings. All activity is always posted on my timeline, which would be insane, but you can do it. So that's Open Graph action stuff. Again, we've been working on it for a few months, and it's finally coming out next week. We're very excited about it. Facebook page tab and Canvas integration. This is how you can embed your site in Facebook. With their timeline change, when they added the cover photo, they really changed how Facebook page tabs work. I'm not going to say they're not as relevant, but they're not as relevant as they used to be. They can be really, really useful, though. Before, when a user came to your Facebook page, that page could be your website. Now, it always will show your activity stream. A user has to go an extra click to see this page tab, and I'll show you what the page tab is. But basically, it's a 820 pixel wide view into your site. It's an iframe that goes to your website. You can show any URL from your site, and so that can be your home page, which can be good. But more useful for it, it's great for putting a coupon up or putting a newsletter sign-up form or some sort of update on your Facebook page. So instead of just having always status updates on your page, you can create, this is the Facebook page tab. A user has to click over here, and you can control this name here. So it's really easy to just say coupons with an exclamation point to entice users to want to click in to your Facebook page tab. Once they click that, again, it will show your website within Facebook, which gives a little more trust to your site. It makes it so the user's in a familiar territory. If your site's all big and glary, then this actually sort of tones it down because it's in a familiar environment. You can actually set a different template to work, to be used while your site's being viewed within a page tab. So that way, your site probably isn't formatted for 820 pixels wide. I hope not. But you can create a template that is specific to it. And you can even use the blue borders and other things like that to make it, again, a more easy experience for the user. So that's how you can embed this in here. You can actually include the login with Facebook on this website right here. So while a user is in Facebook, they can actually click that button, register on your site while still within Facebook. Again, it just sort of builds up trust. It builds up a little bit of credibility that you're not some random website. They don't see your website URL. Can be good or bad, but I mean, if you have some obnoxiously long or profane URL, frankly, this can hide it, so that way, again, the user's in familiar territory. Canvas area, this is less relevant for most users out there. Canvas area is where basically you play Farmville. It's where you play your games or you have your photo apps, those different things that are on Facebook. For creating an app with Joomla, you can do it. Most of our users don't. Most of our users don't understand why this is even there, but it's something you can do. Basically, it's a full screen view of your website within Facebook. I don't have a picture of it, but it's not attached to a Facebook page or anything like that. Basically, you can go to apps.facebook.com/sourcecoast. I don't even think that's right, but you can go to that page and see our URL, our home page within Facebook. Again, the idea of it is to create an app experience where it's a photo sharing site or a game or something along those lines. Not a lot of the stuff that users are doing with Joomla, but you can. I mean, we actually do have a few app developers that have used Joomla to create an app and they display it within their Canvas view, but again, I'm just going to tell you right now, it's not useful for the majority of people. And then Facebook requests, invitations. This is the last circle of love from this presentation. Getting your friends to invite their users. There's like buttons, obviously, which can show up in the timeline and can entice users to come. But if you have an event on your site, or if you have something going on that your users might want to push out to their friends explicitly and say, hey, join this site, join this event, come here, do this, buy this product, whatever, you can create these requests. And you basically create the invitation message, and users can then send them out to all of their friends. Caveats for this is the only thing, well, actually, so the page tab and Canvas view both require an SSL certificate on your site. Those are the only things that require an SSL certificate. Login, all that stuff does not. But you have to have an SSL certificate for page tab and Canvas, and the request feature actually, in a roundabout way, uses your Canvas. So you have to have an SSL certificate, and this isn't meant to say that there's privacy issues. There are some privacy and tracking things where you can actually, within JFBConnect, see who sent these requests, who received the requests, whether they read those requests. But Facebook has some issues where if that user already hasn't logged into your site, you might not be able to tell that they read the message. And that's because they don't want you to know users that are coming to your site that haven't already approved your app. So there is some basic tracking in there, but it's not meant for full purposes. This is the window that pops up. You click the invite your friends. It's completely configurable. And then you can select any of the friends you want to do, hit the send request. That goes out and it goes into the little Joomla notification in the top Facebook bar. And then again, in JFBConnect, it shows you the Facebook or the Joomla username if they're part of your site. The user does not have to be logged into your site to send a Facebook request, which is a nice thing. So that way, even if they've never registered or if your site for some reason doesn't even have registration, you can still implement these Facebook requests. If they do have an account on your site, we show their Joomla username. We have links to their profile on Facebook, and then we actually show whether it's been sent, read, or after 2 weeks, all requests expire. So it pulls out of the user's Facebook wall.
How much data, if any, is surfaced through an API? So did you gamify something like this, or do user points or something like that?
So we actually, we have alpha user points integration. Pretty sure you can award points for this. I could be wrong on that.
For just sending, or can you also?
I think it's just for sending, because again, that's where you run into a little bit of a problem, because you can't always tell if a user really accepted it, and that's a hurdle we can't get past. We've actually talked to Facebook and said, please let us do this, and they're like, no. So because they don't want to. It's basically leaking some information about their users. So I understand, but I think they could do it in some ways. But regardless, so I think we have alpha user points integration for that. We do have an alpha user points plugin where you can award points for liking something, commenting on something. And I think requests are definitely one of them. I think definitely, whatever. But again, it's only for sending the request. And then, actually, I know we have that because I remember I actually coded that for the request. You can prevent it so the user only gets 1 point for sending a friend, and then they can't just keep sending it to the same friend. So those types of things. And that's Facebook integration in a nutshell. One thing I didn't talk about in here that used to be in this presentation, which I took out, I didn't realize, a lot of users ask about pushing content automatically to Facebook. You create a Joomla article or whatever, and it automatically posts on Facebook. We don't do that. We probably never will do that. I don't recommend it in general just because it's prone to errors. We've heard of users posting their shopping list accidentally to Facebook because they create an unpublished article or something like that. There are a lot of great extensions that do that type of thing, though. OB Social Submit can automatically post. I've never used it. I've always heard good things about it. OB Social Submit, when you create an article or they integrate with tons of other extensions, it can automatically post it to Facebook, to Twitter, to LinkedIn, to all these different social services, so that way you don't have to manage it as much. I generally don't recommend doing that, but if you have a lot of sites that you put out to, or you have a ton of articles that are being created, it's not bad to push out to these sites automatically just because it's too much to manage. The reason we don't like it is because if you're going to post an article or something like that on your Facebook wall, you can use the status update area to introduce the article to your users. It's good to say, hey, Facebook friends, I just created this article, go read it. And it's just a way to personalize the message, which definitely gets a little more traffic to your site. And it's just more of a personalized experience. Again, don't overdo things, don't go crazy. If you post every single article to your Facebook wall, people aren't necessarily going to read any of them. Whereas if you post a key article once a day, once a week, whatever works for your schedule, and you have a nice intro to it, it works out well. EasyBlog has auto posting feature. Again, I'm not saying it's bad, just something that you need to be careful with. EasyBlog has an auto posting feature, which is actually pretty darn slick. And OB Social Submit are the big ones that really do it. OB Social Submit works with a lot. EasyBlog obviously just works with its own extension, but it works well. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Second time?
Yes.
With your next version that integrates with the EasyBlog, I think you mentioned, will that step be with it?
It won't be because we're actually working with them a little bit, but we're not working on. We want them to keep that feature on their own. It'd be nice. We do have more. We're working on more of an API to let other developers integrate easily with our authentication, but right now they are not going to be doing that. Our integration with them is for the Open Graph stuff, so you can more easily set some of the Open Graph information on there, which EasyBlog does very well, but then we add the actions on top of that. So if you create a comment on an EasyBlog post, it can post to their wall. If you read the article or read the blog post, or if you vote on an article, those are things that now can be posted to the timeline automatically.
Just for the question in regards to that one, since you EasyBlog posts to social feed,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to argue with you on that. I understand what you're saying, but no, I mean, it's one of those things where if you have content creators on your site, putting them through an extra step is unfortunately something that you have to do. I'd love to work with EasyBlog on making it so we work together more on that, but right now we're just not there yet. But I mean, again, if a user's already on your site creating that content, for them to want to automatically post it to their wall, that should be something they want to do, and asking them to go through an extra step of authenticating to say, yes, I want to post it to my wall. In my opinion, it's not a huge hurdle. Depending on your site, it might be. But if the users are actively creating content on your site, it's a hassle they'll have to go through. So. So we have 6-month and 12-month subscriptions. 6-month is $60, 12-month is $100. And that comes, we have a auto configuration tool that's built into JFBConnect, which will create, well, it won't create, but it'll automatically configure your Facebook application for you, because it's not terribly difficult, but it can be confusing. So having a subscription enables that auto configuration tool. You get full access to documentation, and you get support. Once your subscription ends, everything keeps working just as it was, so there's no bombs or anything in there that are going to kill it. So we have a lot of users that get one subscription and use it for 2 years or whatever, and they'll come back as a new feature comes out, those types of things. But that's. I mean, we're very fast on our responses. We generally try and get to all support requests within about 6 hours. Most of them are, if it's definitely during the day, it's usually within an hour or two. Sometimes it might take a day to get back. It depends on the request in general. If it's something overly difficult or something that's very specific to your site, it can take longer to investigate an issue, but we're very good on support. Again, going back to our JED reviews, we have a 4.98 from 150 or 160 reviews. So I mean, we nail support. And then we also have a 30-day refund policy. If you're not happy, no problem.
From your experience, what are the weaknesses that you suggest someone to have on their site?
You mean like Facebook? I mean, Facebook, Twitter, and I'd probably say LinkedIn. Google Plus is good, but they don't really have much of an authentication scheme that really is robust, and you can't do as much with Google profiles as you do. I mean, if someone were to say what social network should I join tomorrow, I'd say Google Plus, Facebook, and Twitter. But as far as integrating into your site, it's probably Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook. But we don't do all three of them. No, we do Facebook and we have a LinkedIn extension. We don't do really, other than including a Twitter share button on your content, we don't do anything with Twitter. It's something we'd like to do, but we have nothing to say about that right now. Sure. I mean, I like it. We have a blog on our site for K2. Or we use K2 for our blog, and we use Facebook comments for that. Again, it's the disadvantages of Facebook commenting, and there's one huge disadvantage, is that there's nothing, it's all stored on Facebook. So the comments themselves are stored on Facebook. You can moderate, you can hide the comments, you can do a lot of that stuff, but there's no way in the admin area for you to look through all the comments that have been made on your site. The huge benefits of using Facebook is, one, they filter out spam immediately. They know who's real users, who's not a real user, those types of things. So you already have some trust that the comments are real and they're good for your page. You don't have to integrate with third-party filters and all these other things and constantly moderate and do a lot of the stuff that you might have to do. And then, of course, it posts to Facebook, which can be huge on your site because it gets more users who want to comment on that same article and just keeps the message going. One sec. Go ahead.
Just curious about pages moving around. Like if a page URL happens to change, are those comments gone?
So it can be a problem. Again, same thing with like buttons. It's triggered off of the URL itself. So your comments, if you change the URL structure, there's ways around it. You can still say, you can include your own comments module or your JFB comments tag, and you can say, here's the href that should be used for it. And as long as that redirects properly, it'll work. But I mean, it can cause you problems. And that was definitely an issue with Joomla 1.5 to 2.5 migrations. We ran into that a lot. But there is no way to tell Facebook, hey, I've moved this page over here. You have to basically lie to Facebook and say, the user's here, but they're really commenting on this page, which may or may not even exist. But you need to make sure you want the 301 redirect back to this page, so that way they see the Open Graph tags. Not permanently, no. I wish they would.
So Facebook commenting with a Joomla native blog, category blog, you don't enable that with JV?
Yeah, you can automatically, for Joomla content, K2 content, you can automatically include Facebook like, Twitter share, LinkedIn share, and Google Plus buttons, as well as a Facebook comment box. And you can put those at the top or the bottom of the article. You have a little leeway on where you put them. But yes, you can automatically enable that for all of your Joomla or K2 content right now.
Yeah, I 100% agree with what you said about the Facebook comments and the URLs. It can get really annoying or frustrating if something changes.
Correct.
So we've been looking at a few comment solutions for our clients that are based on storing the comments locally.
Mm-hmm.
Really adequate.
Yep.
Is there comments
Yeah.
One that you guys really like, or do you say you guys think your extension plays well?
I mean, we play well with any extension because, again, we create Joomla users. Once they're logged in, they look like any other Joomla user. From EasyBlog, I haven't used it. From EasyBlog, they have CommentO, which is, it's a good extension because it works with any extensions. Like K2 has built-in comments, but it only works for K2. So if you want to throw CommentO, I think on even like a forum post or something, I mean, you can throw it on different places within your site. Again, I've never used it. I've seen it from the front end, and it's one of the things that we're probably going to integrate with at some point because commenting is an easy thing to push back to Facebook with actions. I have it downloaded on my system, but I've never installed it yet. My best guess, simply knowing EasyBlog and knowing how well it's developed, how well it's supported, and how good it looks, I'd probably recommend at least looking into CommentO. Again, I don't know anything about it. There are other commenting extensions out there. Maybe they're better, maybe they're worse, but that would be my first recommendation. It's, yeah.
Activity stream or and/or analytics, is there anything that happens to that?
So you can enable Google Analytics integration with JFBConnect. Anytime a user likes your content, it will show up in your Google Analytics. So you can actually see, 7 pages were liked today, or see which pages were liked, which is just nice that Facebook allows that. You don't see the user or anything like that because that's hidden from you, but you can at least see how many people are liking your pages on a daily basis and see some of the trends. And then with the Facebook actions, again, there's an activity log where, oh, I guess I didn't show it. There's a full activity log in the admin area where you can see actions that were published, you can see actions that the user has deleted, and I think that's it. But you can see all of the different actions, and with that, since they're logged into your site, you get the username, you get a link to the URL of the action or the page that something was taken on, and you see, image upload to this page. And so you have full tracking on any actions that are published to the user's timeline, as well as it has an error log in there. So Facebook sometimes throws an error or whatever. If you configured it wrong, it shows you the error, which is easy for debugging. Thank you.